Hi guys, it's Blackie and welcome back to the Silver Wolves. Today we're going to talk about it's beginning to get fall. We're on the cutting edge of it right now. We're just about to the fall solstice, and so from now on it should start getting cooler. So let's talk about that, how that relates to us Silver Wolves and little things that we can do to improve our life. Okay, one of the physical factors when we get older is the fact that our circulation slows down. When we're young, our veins and arteries act like rubber tubes where you push liquid into them, blood, and it will squeeze it out as it comes back to shape. It's kind of like a rubber band, a rubber tube, like a slingshot tube that you blow into it like air going into one of them long balloons, and it comes out as soon as it can. And that's how the body kind of regulates pressure a lot of way around. So that's the reason we have good circulation. The heart thumps, pushes it, and it's kind of like a train going bump, 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 bump all the way around the body. Once we get over 50 or 60, that elastic rubber band turns more like a garden hose. It kind of stays in a fixed position. It doesn't flex like it did. And because of that, it's not as efficient. Yeah, it's still flowing through, but it isn't under pressure. It's not forcing it out in those small capillaries nearly as easy. And the body takes it from the artery system over to the vein system to return it back. Artery is going out, vein is coming back, and it's the hands and feet where that exchange takes place. Where it comes from the artery, it goes out through those little bitty connector capillaries over to the other one and then back on the feet and the hands. As we've got older, it doesn't kind of pressurize the whole picture. It's just the big main things. Well, that means our hands get cold, our feet get cold much easier than they did when we were young. And that's a circulation problem. We're coming out camping in the winter or doing any outdoor activity. Now while we're moving, we're okay, because that's pumping, and the muscles, as we're walking, they're pumping and squeezing that blood out into the important places. It's when we stop and we're sitting there for a while, that's when our feet slowly get colder, our hands slowly get colder. And what can we do to kind of alleviate that a little bit? Okay, here's what I do. Now, yes, I do live in the deep south, but a lot of my active career, I was in extreme cold conditions. I was up in Minnesota, Colorado, all up there. It seemed like about every other job I had to do for Enterprise Electronics was up in cold snow country. So I've got quite a bit of experience staying warm up in that kind of environment. Even more so for me because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't acclimated to it. I was leaving down here and dropping 20, 50 degrees going up there for 5 or 6 days. And by the time I got used to it, I had to run back down here. So mine, if anything, is more of extreme than you guys living in it day in and day out. You're more adapted to it than I am. So what did I do? Well, let's start with feet. The first thing I found was don't tie your boots too tight, because that cuts down on circulation. You don't want the collar at the back of the boot digging in against your Achilles tendon and cutting down on your circulation. If your boot is tight, it's going to hurt you in the long run. Plus, as we walk, we put the shoes on snug and we start going, our feet start to swell. Now, this is something that I was taught years ago, and I have found to be very, very true, that if you're going to buy work shoes or hiking boots that you're going to wear all the time, you do not go buy them on your day off. Why? Because your feet aren't swollen. After you've stood on your feet at work 6-8 hours, your feet hurt, don't they? I bet you it's because your shoes are too tight by now, because your feet swell. Especially when we get older, the feet swell. You wait till your feet are swollen, then you go get the new boots. So you're going to be hiking in whatever. Okay, this is going to make a boot slightly larger. So for example, I normally wear like a 9, 9.5, and I get a 10 or a 10.5. My deep winter heavy insulated boot is a 10.5. Why would I get such a big boot? Because I'm wearing heavy socks, and I'm going to be wearing long handles that's going down into this neck. So that's going to increase the diameter of the shaft of my leg, isn't it? And so I don't want this acting like a tourniquet because I've got a pair of heavy pants, then I've got 2 pair of long handles, then I got a big thick sock. All that's added, you know, like that much thickness around my leg, and then this is squeezing it down. That acts like a tourniquet, and that causes me to be cold because it's trapping blood getting in and slowing it out getting out. See? So get proper size boots for the winter. Next, your socks. I prefer wool socks. I know. A lot of you are going to say, Blackie, I can't do it. They itch me to death. I just can't do it. Okay, here's what you do. You know those thin nylon dress socks that you get for going to church? That you're going to wear with your dress shoes and etc.? Put a pair of those on and then put that heavy wool sock over the top of it. It works great. If you can't find it, come up high enough, go look in the ladies department, and they got these knee-high hose that work just as good. And slide them on and then put that heavy wool sock. That'll keep a barrier between you and the skin, and it'll allow them to slide together where you're not going to wad it up in walking. That's the problem I have with cotton socks, is once they get sopping wet with sweat, they roll up and make a ball up under my foot, under my toes, and it just, you know, you can't get off of it. It's right there, and it kind of puts a crease on and starts hurting your foot. The wool sock won't do that for me, and if I put that layer on there, it'll slide. The wool and that nylon will slide, and therefore my feet are freer to move, and that's the big thing. If you cannot take your boot and do that with your toes inside your boot, they're too tight. If you can't kind of wiggle your foot left or right, just a little, I'm not talking about sloppy, I'm not hunting clown shoes here, but it's got to be able to flex a little to get the blood moving in it. Then they're a little too tight. I learned that a long time ago. Be sitting there in a deer stand watching and be doing your toes like that, and keep your feet warm, because if you can move your toes, you're causing them muscles to help pump blood in there. See? And so you want that kind of action. Now how about the hands? Thin little cotton gloves, little gardener gloves like that, they're okay, but to me they're not warm. They do keep your hand from sticking to something up yonder in cold country. If you grab some metal or something, it may stick. Yes, that prevents it, but they're not warm to me. I need to keep flexibility, but these I can pull the big glove off and have these on. Okay, so a lot of times these are called glove liners, and up in your real cold country, yeah. Now the U.S. Army wool glove liner that's a wool glove is a good choice, and they make a trigger version of it. My friends down there at the military surplus, they've got some of those, and they're a really good price. I don't know right off the top of my head, but I've seen them when I've been down there. And what I mean with trigger is it's a mitten on this side, and it's got a trigger finger in that, and that's 90% of you gripping and grabbing. You can do that, and it gives you more dexterity than trying to do a glove. Okay, and I find them warmer, because normally it's these fingers the ones that get cold, so putting them all together in that mitt instead of out in individual fingers works better. A step up that I actually like better than that is these old military surplus pilot gloves. Pilot gloves have a leather palm on it, and they're fire resistant. They got a Nomex in them, and that's because for helicopter pilots, if there's a flash of an explosion or something, these wouldn't melt to their hand like other nylon gloves. But this also means for using it in the field, I get a little bit of heat resistance for grabbing that hot pot, these leather palms and stuff. So these are real good working. But as you can see right there, Blackie done wore through one, and so I need to add another patch to it. But these are usually my keep my hand warm gloves that I carry, is these. They slide in too easily. Hand slide in real easily, you should say. You've got strips of leather in all the places that like to wear, and these can be got cheap. They're U.S. Military pilots gloves. To me, they're warmer than that cotton glove. One step up is then you've got the leather glove. Now, if you're in some place where you got a lot of snow, you already know this. But being able to put on a leather glove gives you a lot more water insulation. And see, I can put both gloves on at the same time. See? So I'm traveling, I'll be doing this. Moving along. If I need more dexterity for whatever it is, I can slide off the leather glove and still have that. So if I have to grab something metal or whatever, it ain't gonna stick to me. Okay? But I will help keep my warmth in there. Now, they make a hand warmer, a little small hand warmer that's called toe warmer. Okay? And usually about now, you'll find them. This is what I'm talking about. Walmart carries them. Toe warmers. These are small enough you can slide them into the palm or onto the back of your hand. For me personally, it warms my hand more because I got those big veins on the back of my hand. If I'll slide this into my glove on top of my hand like that, that'll keep my hand warm when I'm sitting on a deer blind or something like that, where I can't move around and I've just got to sit still, keeping my hand from going completely cold, numb. Yes, it won't be as warm as back home by the fire, but it will be usable. Okay, keep my hand from hurting so bad. These little things also are great to put in your sock, in the bottom of your boot, etc. They work just fine there. Now, let me educate you just a little bit. This is a body warmer. Hand warmers and toe warmers are similar but not exact. When you read how much it says on here, body warmer, and it's good for 12 hours, and it says do not put on skin. Open it there, do not put on skin, because this is like 180 degrees. This is designed like you see there. You put it on the inside of your jacket or on the inside of your pants leg. On the inside, stick one of these to the, they got adhesive on them. Stick it to the inside and blouse your boots. So you've got a pair of long handles and a sock, so that's not going to be dead against your skin. But that heat will radiate up your legs to warm you up. You put this back here in the back of your jacket on your kidneys back here and let that radiate heat. If you warm the blood, you warm the body. And where the kidneys is where the blood pauses the longest close to the surface. So put one of these back there. As long as you got going to be leaning back against it. See what I'm saying? I want it to take it in and out as I need. But this runs for 12 hours. These can go in contact with skin because they're only 100 degrees. These are 185 degrees. Too hot against the skin. These can, because these are basically body temperature. See? Educate yourself. Also, for those like the body warmer or whatever, and at the end of season, that's when I go and I buy up. I bought this whole supply from my local Walmart for probably 10 bucks. That whole big supply of them. It was because it was the end of season. We'd had a mild winter and they hadn't sold. And they had marked them down to about 50 cents a piece. So yeah, Blackie loaded up. Now, when I get to camp, how about I take my shemagh and I put one of them body warmers in it. So when I'm sitting here next to fire, I can take that shemagh with it in it and I can put it on that shoulder that's hurting me. I can put it on that elbow that's hurting me. I can wrap my hands around it and warm up my hands. I can put it on the back of my neck. That shemagh prevents it from being against my skin and warming me up a little bit wherever my body aches are. When I go to bed, take one of those body warmers and put it inside of a used sock. Throw that in the bottom of the sleeping bag. Your feet won't be cold during the night because you can put your feet up against it to warm up and you can pull your feet away from them if they start to get too warm. See what I'm saying? You don't burn yourself. It won't burn the bag as long as it's in like a heavy canvas sock, a heavy cotton sock or a heavy wool sock. It'll be fine. I've done it for years and it works just fine to keep your toes warm during the night. The whole thing, in conclusion, let's look at it this way. We know we're old silver wolves and we know that our circulation in our hands and our feet is not that great anymore. We want to come out in the winter with the grandkids, to come out to a silver wolf camp out, whatever, and we want to be able to be warm and not just be miserable, okay? As my old mentor Grouch McGowan taught me, it takes no effort to be miserable. If you don't want to be miserable, make a little effort and you won't be miserable. So by picking up a few of those, toe pads to go on our boots and go on our gloves, a body warmer to be able to put back here against my kidneys, or on the inside up in real cold country on the inside of big loose pants, or put into a sock and throw in the bottom of the sleeping bag, will make a difference and you will not be so cold. If you're laying on a cot, put one or two of them underneath you. Like if you got a pad, put it underneath the pad, between the pad and the cot. It'll radiate heat up through it, and that's what you want. Hope you've enjoyed this content, guys. And don't forget, Silver Wolves is coming up on the 1st of October. I want to say we're sold out, but I've got one that may have to back out. So if you are still you want to be on the list, maybe you ain't gonna make it this time, but you'd like to be on the list, hit me up down there in the description box. I'll have a word of contact to get on the list for the next run, and I'll put you down for next time so you can know when we're gonna have one. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.